Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the new WE Zenthra, which actually comes in a few different configurations. This knife is available. I will link it down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's up to you. Thanks to WE for sending this in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this knife. So before we get going, I hold WE to a pretty high standard because I have seen and handled so many. You guys know that WE sends me knives directly, right? So when I handle what I consider to be some of their best work, then I expect the quality and the execution, I expect it to be all in the same place. Not necessarily all with the same finishes and all of that, but the look and I'm sorry, not the look, but the feel of overall quality, I expect to be the same. I expect all WE knives to have that same exact quality feel, and I want to talk about that today. But first off, 8 inches overall. Blade length is coming in at about 3.35, maybe 3.4. Cutting edge is about 3.25. Let's do some quick size comparisons. Any custom scales in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. So up against the 8010 and the 8020.5, it's not a, this isn't a big knife, but it's a full-size knife. It just feels like your standard compact full-size knife. So nowhere near the size of something like the 8010. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2. Sorry. Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. Close to the size of the PM2, not quite, definitely bigger than the Para 3. Way more cutting edge. Let's put it up against the Benchmade Grip Cylinder, in this case the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How's the action on this? The action on this knife. Access to the lock bar here is good. There's no double clutch or anything like that. The thumb studs, they're like little doorknobs. You might slip off of them just like you saw there because there's no texturing really. But you can use them. You can even do the reverse flick if you're willing to dig at it a little bit. And the flipper tab will allow it to flip. This came tight. It feels like a WE from 2019, 20, 21, 22. Like not quite. You know when I always talk about the new WE sauce? I can tell when it's a WE knife that has been manufactured to their highest standards of quality. I still have many of them that I have kept in my collection. I always try to highlight those. This does not feel that way. This, and I don't know this, but this, it makes me wonder, like, does WE have 2 different manufacturing facilities? I don't know. It's weird. Their really good stuff feels foreign in like a really, really good way. It feels like totally different than what I would normally expect. This feels like a classic WE knife, which is still really good. The problem is they've shown me, they've shown me their full power. You know, so I expect to see that even when we're talking about a knife that's not in their top tier. WE definitely has knives in kind of like, it's premium, but it's kind of like the start of our premium stuff. And then they got some mid-range stuff, and then they got some stuff that's like ultra high-end. And a lot of that ultra high-end stuff, even though it is a substantially larger price tag, you know, it feels super duper premium. This feels good. It does not feel like it's got the magic sauce. I just have to be honest here. But to anybody who's never handled some of WE's best work, this will feel very good. If you've handled some other premium Chinese knives around the $200, $250 territory, you'll be like, yeah, this feels pretty good, you know? But I gotta be honest as a reviewer and let you guys know, like, yeah, WE sent this to me for free. I get to keep it if I want. I will also make money if you go down there and buy this knife utilizing my affiliate links. But that's not going to stop me from telling you exactly what I think. It's a little disappointing. Good, but disappointing for what I know WE is capable of. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's not that thick. It's about the same. Length and height up against the PM2 and the Para 3. It's pretty compact, honestly. It's a pretty easy knife to carry. Not quite as long or as tall as something like the PM2. Just, yeah, it's longer than the Para 3. Not quite as tall, though. Let's go and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. The pivot's going to be a T8, and I think their body screw on this side, there's only one, which is cool. Body screw on this side, T8, and then the pocket clip. No, nope. That's also a T8. That's cool. It looks like it's a T6, but it actually does fit T8. T8. I appreciate that. This is a very, very simple knife to take apart. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. There's a miss here, though. Like, you use T8 here. Why did this screw have to be this? Just make it doesn't matter. All that matters is that they made, this is a symmetrical clip. You've got a nested spot. A lot of people are going to go, oh, you can flip it around. It's just, you just set it on top. No, not with one screw. This has been nested in to the carbon fiber so it doesn't move. It's captive. Why? Why have we made this symmetrical clip that could have easily had a spot on the other side? Why have we made it exclusive for right-handed carry? It makes no sense to me. It's a big miss there. But ease of disassembly is great. It's fantastic. Let's go ahead and weigh it. So what are we looking at for materials? We are looking at, sometimes they use 20 CV. M390. A lot of people ask me, you know, after we've heard these talks from Laren Thomas and Sal Glesser about, you know, M390 not necessarily being perfectly exclusive to Bowler or some of these, you know, like Magna Cut and all that. So I asked a whole bunch of different Chinese OEMs who definitely would not benefit from lying to somebody like me. I mean, it would be a very bad move. Somebody like me or just the community in general, right? They have a lot at stake. These are bigger companies. They want to maintain, you know, business with the community, and they want to do right and be honest with the community. So I asked them, I said, are you guys using like Chinese equivalent 20 CV or M390, or are you using the authentic stuff? And so far, everybody has said, and I've actually confirmed this with WE in the past. Now, this was years ago, but I did contact Crucible to confirm this. And when they use 20 CV and some of those other CPM steels, they authentically use Crucible. So we said, yeah, we absolutely use the authentic stuff. So it says M390, we get it from Bowler. So if you've ever wondered that, you know, because there's a little bit of a fear as, you know, all the issues with Crucible, we have all these Chinese steel manufacturers who are making like the equivalent, they're making like clone compositions, right? If you've ever wondered, WE does use authentic Bowler M390, and when it's, you know, 20 CV, they're using Crucible 20 CV. Now, how will this change in the future? I have absolutely no idea. I'm just saying, as of the time of this recording, it's authentic. So, but anyways, materials, we have M390, which is hardened to, you know, WE loves that 5961 range, so that's where it is. We have extremely cheap looking carbon fiber, and it's carbon fiber. It's just flat. There's no sculpting or contouring, and it's just like, it's like partially shiny. It just looks cheap. Not a fan of that. I understand that's subjective. I just don't like it very much. They've got some nice stepped titanium right here. No, like, you know, crazy milling or contouring or anything. Pretty basic clip. The nice little titanium pivot collar. There's a little bit of complexity with the build here, but not anything insane. It's a far cry from what WE is capable of, especially when you look at the price tag here. Anyways, let's weigh it. Do we have any internal milling for weight reduction? No, and it's, well, I'm sorry, a little bit right here. Not much, probably because of the pockets for the carbon fiber. So I'm going to guess this weighs 3.5 to 4 ounces. Yeah, 3.6 ounces. Pretty good ratios, honestly, and the balance is also very good. Whoops, sorry about that. That's what happens when you're balancing a knife on your finger. So yeah, honestly, it's good in that department there. Feels good, and truthfully, it does feel very balanced, very nice. You know, there's nothing, no issue really with the ergonomics. Let's say for one little element, we'll talk about here in a second. And then let's measure the blade stock thickness before we move into the meat and potatoes here. So blade stock thickness is 122,000. So I guess it's on the thinner side for a WE knife. Okay, meat and potatoes time. Like I said, ergonomics pretty good. Unfortunately, with the flipper tab, they did a 90-degree, pretty like jimping. It's kind of a sharp angle here. So if you are really choked up in there, you're going to feel it. And this like enlarged sharpening choil area isn't hyper comfortable to choke up on. So it's really, in my opinion, you're kind of confined to back here. I'll let you guys take a look at the plunge grind so you can make your decision there. It seems fine to me, but everybody's got different opinions on that. This has a steel lock bar insert. You can see it in there. And then this carbon fiber piece here is the over travel. This has a two-tone blade with kind of that working finish or acidy concrete finish, and then we have the satin flats. Looks fine. I mean, as far as it being a tool goes, yeah, it does work plenty well. I mean, you can do the draw cuts. It's got a nice straight edge for, very friendly resharpening, all of that. And overall, it is plenty comfortable. I think the jimping could have been a little bit longer, but it'll function just fine as a tool. Like I said, I think it's neat that we have this little piece here. Carbon fiber goes around it, the steps and things. That's fine. This would all be fine if it didn't cost what it costs. Which is, something that I like every $50, once we get up to about 500, those areas become larger, what to expect and who's making it and where. But when we're talking about Chinese high-end production knives, there are certain things that I expect, especially considering how much I've handled from all of these different companies. I'm very aware of how competitive it is. And, I know that a lot of them are really, really trying to be hyper competitive. And then some companies have just become so popular that they use that as an opportunity to, create room and mark things up. A lot of people would say that WE Knives has already become the Chinese Benchmade. And I would argue aggressively that we have not gotten there yet. Benchmade pricing is ridiculous and is, it's almost like a joke, and I can see that. I can see WE Knives maybe getting closer to that at some point, but we are not there yet. Not quite. Sorry, I had to plug my phone in. But anyways, there's lots of elements here, where it's still way off. Like for example, Benchmade, people are saying, oh, WE Knives is charging $275 for, which is by the way about what this costs for titanium and M390, and then there's other American, like I would say like Hogue, and there might be a couple other companies who are producing like similar quality USA stuff. They're still quite a bit higher when we're actually comparing apples to apples, right? If this exact knife was made by Benchmade, you bet your ass they would charge over $500 for it. How do I know that? Because they charge over $500 for the Narrows, which is as minimal as this is in terms of machining complexity. The Narrows is much simpler, right? So I don't think that's fair. I don't think that the price on this is fair, but I think that the Benchmade is far over, right? So the fact that this is made in China does not mean, there are so many people who will blindly say, with absolutely zero insight, will just say, because it's made in China, it should only cost $50 or $100. Definitely not true. We don't have companies, Chinese OEMs out there, making knives like this and then selling them. And I mean actually exactly like this, not some slapped together flat little rectangle with a nothing blade, right? The reason that we don't have other premium Chinese companies machining titanium to these tolerances and carbon fiber and M390, the reason we don't have them making exactly this and selling it for $50 or $100, a lot of people are going to point out, what about the clones on AliExpress? Yeah, but when we dig into that, are they really the same? No, a lot of them are using fake steel. A lot of them are hyper simple designs. A lot of them are D2 or 14C28N. And there's a lot of corners cut when we talk about manufacturing quality. It's just not a good example, and it is not an apples to apples example. The reason we don't see companies manufacturing knives just like this at $50 to $100 is not because of some grand conspiracy to keep all of the prices up. No, it's because they can't do it. It's not possible, no matter how much some people think that it should be or it is, and it's a big secret. No, Occam's razor, it's a little bit of a blade pun there. No, the simple answer is it cannot be done. They still have to make room and mark things up so that they can, make money and stuff like that. But the truth is that a lot of this stuff is just more expensive to create than people realize, even when it's being manufactured in China. That being said, right, the rest of this review would go as you would assume. Not a lot going on back here. I'm going to get back to that. That being said, simple standoff, simple clip, in and out of the pocket, fine. It's a little pinchy, right? There's no blade play or anything like that. No lock stick, no double clutch, no pivot lash, right? The stop pin is actually located internally. It rides on bearings. I don't know if you can see in there, but we have channels carved on either side of the titanium so they can contact, right? And then we have kind of tight action. It'll break in, but it's not going to be nearly as smooth as some of their best work. Good detent and perfect centering. No detent lash. That being said, is this a $277 knife? No, it isn't. I think at best it's $225. Now, that's about $50 higher than I would like it to be. And you guys, probably you've pointed out many times, knives you really, really like. It's $50 higher than you might have wanted it to see. And you're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, right? From the perspective of somebody who knows, we all know WE is a huge company. They're pumping out new models like every week, it seems like. They are huge. They have volume, right? They can definitely operate on volume. And they're making some of these knives with the equivalent level of quality as many of their competitors that people would consider to be a lesser tier, especially after WE has really shown us what they're capable of. They charge more money for it, but, so knowing that, it's like, come on, $50 over for WE is a lot different. $50 higher than what I'd like it to be when we're talking about WE knives is a lot different than a much smaller company that has to operate on smaller batches, right? Is doing everything. They're fighting a lot harder, right? And they can't pump out new models all the time. It's $50 higher than where I'd want to see there. Like, I want to be fair about this. It's just, that's a lot more of like, what am I paying for here? This is in the $250 to $299 territory for me. I know people are going to be like, but tariffs. But WE's competition, again, a lot of their direct competition when making similar products to this are still substantially less expensive than this, right? And they're dealing with the same stuff. I can't pretend to know all of the ins and outs there. All I can do is just share with you my perspective as a reviewer who handles tons and tons of different knives, right? So, this does not have what I would like to see from $250 to $299. It's nowhere near the $300 territory, right? WE does have knives that I think are appropriately priced from $250 to $300. And I think sometimes they just are like, do we think we can get that for it? Let's throw it in there, which, fair. A lot of companies operate like that. To me, this is maximum a $225 knife. And I think it's fine. I think at that price point, if they had charged $225 for this, I'd have been like, that's fine, But I don't want to see WE slowly become, right now it's a joke, but I don't want to see them slowly become the Chinese version of Benchmade where they're just throwing whatever price at whatever just because. I want them to make the awesome stuff that they're able to make and then price competitively so that they truly stand out. That's what's going to make me want to celebrate them. No matter how incredible of a knife that they're able to create, right? If I can find something else out there that is of the same or similar quality and it's substantially less money, it just makes me think, well, what is this? So this knife is fine. It's okay. I've seen a bajillion knives just like it. It's made out of materials that I expect to see at the $200 to $225 price point. It's nothing special. There's absolutely nothing special here. So the extra $50 minimum that they want for this is it's just like you pay for the knife and then you take $50 and you throw it into a volcano, right? I mean, I like it just doesn't seem like a knife that's deserving of that. I just want to see more from WE. So it's fine. If you decide to pick this up, it will work. It's obviously a very well-made, high-quality tool, right? And if you like how it looks, you'll probably, you'll get it, and you're like, I would spend $270. You'll get it and be like, yeah, it's fine, right? But at $277, I've reviewed many, many knives in the last, not just the last year, but the last few months that I would say are much better purchases. Not just in terms of the design and how cool it looks, but the overall quality and execution, right? So that's how I feel. I know you guys, some of you might think that this is a little bit, it's a little bit brutal, but I don't, treat every company, the same, but at least by my own standards, I want, I don't want to give anybody a free pass. So that's what I think, But anyways, fine, nothing special, far from it. And that's going to be pretty much it. This will probably end up as a giveaway knife on one of my live streams. So anyways, thank you to WE for sending this in. I do appreciate it. Links down below for this guy. If you do want to buy it and you want to use my link so I get a commission, great. They're down there. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.